Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis. I posted the other day on Facebook about what you would like me to review, and some of them are really good ideas, and I think I'm going to use them as we go. I had a change of heart yesterday, and I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to talk about. People compile lists, and they do the best of, worst of. I'm not very good at that. When people ask me my favorite movie, because I do get asked it several times, I always say, I don't know. It's like asking me my favorite finger. They're all different and they all serve a fantastic purpose in any given day. I don't even know that horror films are my favorite genre, but I do love horror films. And I'm thinking about the movies that I loved, and I mean loved, that were horror films. I was trying to wonder, what are the best three? There's only two that I loved. Saw them in the theater, went back and saw one of them twice. Just could not get enough of both of them. I still watch them. There's two, and I highly recommend. They're my two favorite horror films made in the last decade, and they were both made by studios. The Cabin in the Woods, written by Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard, directed by Drew Goddard. It takes the tale of the Evil Dead or any other cabin in the wood type horror film. Bunch of dumbass college students, teenagers go to a cabin and chaos ensues. Some axe murder, some demon, some ghost. And it turns it on its head in a funny way, in an imaginative way, and it doesn't necessarily have an upbeat ending. I love the ending. The ending doesn't leave much room for a sequel. I had so much fun with this in the theater that I went out and saw it again in the theater. I just couldn't get enough of it. I've watched it several times since then. I love it. It is entertainment for people who know and love horror films. And I don't want to give, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to give away twists and turns. That plot is college students go to a cabin in the woods and there's more than meets the eye there. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give too much away. And if you've seen it, you know that you don't want people to know the twists and turns. Check out Cabin in the Woods. If for nothing else, it's got a future Thor in it, Hemsworth. When they announced a remake of this movie, I thought it was the worst idea since the remake of Halloween. But they didn't make a remake. They said it was a remake, but even the director, Fede Alvarez, said back in the day we would have just called this a sequel. In the 80s, they would have just called it a sequel. Evil Dead. The Evil Dead remake by Fede Alvarez is one of the best horror films made in the last decade, if not in the last 2 decades. This is a scary movie. This movie is balls out horror. This movie is unapologetic. This movie has someone cutting their tongue with a knife on screen to make it like a serpent's forked tongue. The reviews started coming in and they were pretty good, and I started feeling a little bit better. And then I started seeing footage and going, damn, this looks really good. And I started seeing trailers, and I couldn't wait. And it delivered on everything. The fact that the lead is a female, Mia. And by the way, if you take the first letter of all the 5 characters' names, it spells demon. Google it. I can't recommend it enough. Is it better than the original Evil Dead? Well, it's not really a remake. It kind of exists on its own plane of its own existence. Clearly, there are shouts out through it. The classic, if you're a Sam Raimi fan, is in there, the Oldsmobile. It belongs in the universe. But Fede had his own version or his own vision, and I loved it. I've got to tell you, in the last 10 years, my 2 favorite horror films, Cabin in the Woods and The Evil Dead. And if you hate me because I didn't put Get Out, which is good, or several other movies which are good as well, please message me, tweet me, Facebook me, argue with me. It's fine. I enjoy it. I want the criticism. So thank you so much, Scarefest. Tune into Bonehead when you get a chance and subscribe. This has been Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly.